name is Royce. I'm a painter, sculptor, and a collector. Just thought I would pop on live. A lot happened today in the Disney Arena. Let me turn up my volume. Wow, so much happened today. I was not expecting the Lilo and Stitch trailer to drop. I was so excited. I could not wait to click and to watch. And boy, oh boy, it did not disappoint. Whenever Disney makes a live action movie, it's always interesting to see how the characters change. For example, when Beauty and the Beast came out, what was that, 2017? How different Cogsworth and Lumiere looked in that movie opposed to, in the animated film. So I was really expecting Stitch. I mean, he's an alien, right? So I don't know really what I was expecting in terms of his character design overall to look that much different, but they really did a good job at just adapting that character design to the live action version, which it kind of just looks like he has fur, which is really cool. Oh gosh, let's see what else. Oh, also, we got to see, I don't know what this character's name is. It's the captain of the aliens. It's a girl. She has a really weird looking shaped head. You know what she reminds me of? Prequel Star Wars fans. The aliens that made the clones. She reminds me of them, but you got to see like the back of her head. Of course, we got to see Lilo, which was really cool. I think the casting was amazing. She's so likable, so cute. That her smile. It's something that interested me because I was thinking, okay, when did Lilo and Stitch come out? And it really dawned on me, oh my gosh, 2003 is when I watched that movie. I was 10, I think, 10 or 11, and wow, I can't believe time's gone by that fast. I remember toys of Lilo and Stitch in Long's Drugs and KB Toys, if you can remember. For those of you that know, you know. And to think that, wow, there's going to be a whole new generation that knows Lilo and Stitch just from the live action, and then they're going to find out that it actually was a cartoon. Crazy, right? Gosh, oh, let's see. What other things did I really like? Oh, Lilo's older sister. Again, it's believable. It's great. I really love the family dynamic of that particular movie. And it's going to be epic. One of my favorite parts of the trailer definitely was at the very end. You saw him just for a second, and it was Prickly. Did you see Prickly? I was really worried and concerned about his design because he was actually my favorite character. Hello there, Freya. How's it going? Nice to see you. So yeah, Prickly was my favorite character. So for me, I was really concerned about how his character design was going to be transitioned from animation to live action. And boy, oh boy, I think that they did a really good job. Even though you got to see him just for a second, you didn't get to see Jamba, which is really disappointing. But we got to see a lot, a lot. Oh, I'm doing well. How about you? How's it going? Nice to see you again. Hello, hello, AK Swift. I like your pumpkin emoji up there. So yeah, we're talking about Lilo and Stitch live action trailer that dropped. Did you see it? What did you think? I thought it was amazing. That is what Disney wants to see in terms of bringing a live action animated movie to life. That's what guests want to see. Is that I'm actually really excited as well to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or just Snow White in this particular instance. Who's excited to see the Queen? I think that she is going to steal the show. And I think that it could be a very short movie. The film opens up with her saying, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all?" All the mirror has to say is you, and then the credits can roll, and that's it. Because I don't know about you, but Gal Gadot is absolutely stunning. And yeah, let's see. Didn't they cancel it? No, it's coming. Wait, who canceled what? The Lilo and Stitch or Snow White? Both are going to come out. At this point, Disney put too much money into the product to just pull the plug. But who's to say how they'll do? You never know, right? You never know if people will show up just out of curiosity or end up just waiting until it drops on Disney Plus. I actually was on Disney Plus this morning and I saw that Moana 2 popped up. I know that that came out in November. That seems very soon. Did any of you watch Moana 2? How was it? I know that didn't the animation department not even create it? It was like an outside company. That's sad. If it was that iconic of a feature film, which Moana was, why didn't they make a sequel to it? Like, oh, I don't know. There's a million Winnie the Poohs, Frozen's. Let's see, the live action Snow White. I heard it was canceled a while back. I don't know if they brought it up again. Yeah, it's coming out. It is coming out. I think in 2 weeks or less than that. There are so many trailers, and now they're even releasing clips. I can't wait to hear Hi Ho. The Seven Dwarfs truly were one of my all-time favorite characters when I was growing up. I wanted their hats and their shoes. Fun fact for you: when I worked in the character head department at Disneyland, I got to kind of adventure through the costuming, which for me, I felt like I was in Santa's workshop. And I immediately went to the Seven Dwarfs shoes because I had to try them on. So I can finally say I tried on the Seven Dwarfs shoes. That was a really cool day. They had so many costumes. It's interesting. They have so many princess costumes. I think from size like 1 to 7, and there was like 10 sizes in each, or yeah, 10 versions of that size in each one. It was like a whole row of Aurora, a whole row of Ariel, a whole row of Belle, and then there was like 5 Pocahontas dresses. Pocahontas doesn't come out that much, but I do like her. So yeah, that is what happened today. That I just thought it was incredible. What did all of you think about the trailers? I want to hear other people's opinions. I thought it was great. Another thing that is going to be coming out soon is we're gonna finally get to see some sneak peeks of the Walt Disney animatronics. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be happening soon. I am very. I'm not gonna say worried because the talent on it is just incredible, especially the art direction. I know that they'll be able to pull it off to the best of their ability, but it just is it necessary? Is this too far? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it took a while even to get a Mickey animatronic, but I am really excited to see Walt in person or as close as we can, right? It makes me think of when I am in Epcot and I see Benjamin Franklin and Mark Twain. It's really neat to see these characters. So glad they're keeping it close to the original movie. Kelly, that's true. They certainly are. What other movies are planned next? I know that they're working on Hercules, and I heard Bambi's in the mix. That's a little odd. I want Maleficent 3. I'm sorry. I'm a huge Maleficent fan. Always have been, always will be. I think it's an incredible, incredible film series. I don't know if it's just because the actual character that was designed by Mark is just so majestic and so perfectly designed, but I love Angelina and what she brought to the character. Same goes for Cruella, what Emma brought to Cruella, and I'm confused. Aren't they making a Cruella 2? What happened to that? Disney, do not wait years and years and years to make a sequel to something. Please, all you have to do is just bring it back in a year or two. I know that's possible because when I was growing up in high school, those Twilights and those Harry Potters were dropping year after year, so it is possible. How did you obtain the pirate head cast? And what happened to the Maleficent animatronic that caught fire? Okay, so what head are you talking about? So majority of my pieces I recreated. I do have some originals, and then there are some that I bought online at various auction houses and private sales. That's how I obtain the majority of the things in my collection. Let's see, what happened to the Maleficent animatronic? So I think you are referring to the float at Walt Disney World. That happened a while ago. It's been fixed. It's fine. That was pretty traumatic. That was that's pretty up there with Disney fails, I think, to catch a catch a float on fire, which is pretty crazy. I remember working in parades, and every now and then, during this time, Sensational was playing. Who remembers Sensational at the Disneyland Resort? Um, when a parade float would die or it would break down, the dancers had to keep dancing. And for this example, Aladdin was up there and he waved for so long. And it was like 20 minutes later, and they finally just stopped dancing and walked away, and they left Aladdin up there. And they had to tow him away. The Maleficent animatronic from Fantasia. Oh! Oh, oh. You won't see her for a while. Um, so basically, the question is, what happened to the Maleficent dragon animatronic from Phantasmic. So she caught fire like what, a year ago, something like that. That specific animatronic was actually manufactured by a company called Garner Holt, who does a lot of animatronics for the Walt Disney Company throughout the history. And she was very expensive, and let's just be honest, Disney is not going to be spending money to replace her at this time. I do believe one day she'll come back, but it's going to be wild. The company's just not in the financial position, unfortunately, to build her again and replace her. It's just not in the works right now. I work building costumes for movies and even help with Disney parks. How easy is it to get a job at Disney? Awesome content, by the way. Thank you, Nintendo Game Dude. Thank you very much. It's difficult. You know, like I've always told people that want to. I mean, it depends on what you do. So, do you want to work in costuming, for instance? So the people that I worked with the animatronic costume department, they were, God, they all were there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I'm telling you, when I got there, and I remember I was painting the redhead, and this lady came up to me, and she's like, "You're new. I've never seen you before." And she was like, "I've been here 19 years, and I'm the new one." That's how uh, tight and how infrequent people leave those positions because people love them. And I understand why people love Disney, but yeah, people do not leave. They make this one for Small World. We helped with the Avengers ones in Tokyo. Oh, very cool. Yep, yep. One of their names that work at the animatronic costuming. Her name's Londi. She's really fun. She's done actually a couple of costumes for me privately with my private collection. It's really interesting to see, like, for instance, I remember when the Splash Mountain characters were there and the geese, one of them wears like a vest, and I don't know what happened. Usually it's planned out to where they can replace it right away, but she had to make a vest like in a matter of hours. So she came to the shop and she ended up like making a pattern on the spot. I watched her with awe and with such interest because sewing to me is a whole nother art, a whole nother art form. And I'm sure you'll agree with me. And I mean, just look at Cinderella's dress and just the details in the Small World dolls costumes. They are just immaculate, and the way that they can be pinned together with Velcro and snaps and zippers and buttons. It's so interesting every time I had to take off a costume or put one on and age it, especially with pirates. I have some videos coming out, by the way, on that. So stay tuned. So much goes into it. Yes, a lot goes into Disney parks animatronic costumes. Not just that too. I mean, even cast member costumes. A lot of thought goes into it to really bring you into the environment. Would you be open to painting a Pirates of the Caribbean mask, specifically the jealousy one on the left? If so, how much would you charge, more or less? So if you have one and you just want me to paint it, uh, I don't know, maybe $100. I've never really done it for people like this. They usually will message me and ask me, and we could discuss that a little bit more privately. But yeah, it's such an interesting time to be in the film industry in general, right? But I'm really hopeful that Lilo and Stitch is good and Snow White. I really enjoyed Cinderella, and for me personally, two of my favorite all-time favorite Disney films. Actually, I'm gonna say three. I love The Black Cauldron. Whether or not a live action will ever come for it, regardless, I don't think enough people know who the who the black, you know, what the Black Cauldron characters are all about. But I personally love The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Tarzan. Those films are my childhood personally. Atlantis, and I would love to see those. Atlantis to me is a live action movie trying to be a cartoon. If you agree, hit that thumbs up, and because that to me, I don't know, it's insane. It's insane how epic they managed to get that story, and it's just unfortunate that it really wasn't as popular. Me too. I love Gurgi. You know, it's so funny when ended up getting a promotion and leaving my position for a little bit. They gave me a Gurgi statue. Perfect. It was just sculpted for me. I was like, oh my god, thank you. And they said that they were going to save it in the archives at Imaginarium in case Black Cauldron attraction ever gets built. By the way, there was a Black Cauldron attraction planned. I have all the concept art for it. I wish I could release it, but it's so. I think Disney's released like 2 images, but I have the maquettes, I have the color callouts, the track layout, everything. It drives me crazy that I can't make a video about it because I would love to show all of you. Let's see, Atlantis and Treasure Planet are amazing. I do love Treasure Planet as well. Atlantis is good, right? Atlantis is epic. I think that the music and the okay. I have a question. I have a question. Why isn't Kita in Princess Fantasy Fair or in the princess lineup and a parade or anything princess? She is a princess. Mulan is not a princess. I'm sorry, people. Why is she there and not Kita? It bothers me. Why isn't Princess Alanwi not in the princess lineup? It bothers me. I'll never get over it. But yeah, those are some really good points. Let's see, what other movie do I feel was successful as a live action? Aladdin, I feel was really good. I really enjoyed the casting and the costumes, especially on Jasmine's dress. I thought it was epic. Oh gosh, let's see. Frozen's live action, I'm sure, will come along with Rapunzel or Tangled. I actually heard that Sabrina Carpenter is going to play Rapunzel in a live action version of Tangled. How epic would that be to see Sabrina as Tangled singing the songs? And then, oh, her name's Catherine. I don't know her name, but she played Agatha in the WandaVision. She's supposed to play Mother Gothel. How epic would that be to see those two singing and just back to back? Who actually enjoyed Agatha Coven? What is it? Not Coven of Chaos. All along. Gosh, they changed that title so many times before they got it right. I really did enjoy that. I honestly believe that it was a missed opportunity to kill her. I think it would have been really good for her just to walk off as she regained power, and we could have seen her in the universe with other big films going up against new heroes. That's just my opinion, because she's at the end of the day, villains are villains, but we all love to hate them and we all hate to love them, right? They're oftentimes the most interesting part of the story. What makes somebody so mean? And that's what's really glorious about a lot of these live actions, is it's giving you the backstory to why Lady Tremaine was so horrible to Cinderella. Why? Let's see why the evil queen's so evil and so mean to Snow White. Enough to kill somebody. You have to think about that. With Jafar, it was power, right? I mean, it's clear as day. So it's always interesting for me to watch these movies and just see the narrative and how they change it for the villains. Maleficent was misunderstood. She had a broken heart. It was out of anger, not true evil, that she cursed Aurora. So little things like that I've always enjoyed about the live action lineups, and I doubt they'll stop making them. So I think it's just best that we learn to love it and just carry on, because it's only a matter of time before they get to Pocahontas. And oh, by the way, the live action Mulan I thought was pretty good too. I forgot about that. It came out at a really odd time. Was it pre-COVID or after COVID? I don't know, but I feel like I kind of just got forgotten, unfortunately. Now, it actually was pretty good. I heard that it was filmed in some not okay places, but that's neither here or there. Um, but yeah, the live action Pinocchio as well, I actually really enjoyed the. But you see how different, and that's a really good example, how different Jiminy Cricket looked in the live action of Pinocchio opposed to the way he looked as a cartoon. That's what I was expecting with Prickly and with Stitch and with all the aliens that we're about to see. It's like they just took the 2D design and added realistic textures of furs and skins to those character designs, which I honestly think is the safe route, because people know them and love them, and when you change them, sometimes people get upset. So I am really happy, and I agree with you that they are sticking to some of the original concepts and designs. There are some times where, and some aspects of the live action, where you have to take some artistic liberty and change the style of the dresses. I mean, look at Belle's blue dress. Look how Emma Watson. It was practical. It was realistic, how the layers and the textures and the patterns. But then the voice wasn't there. We're always going to judge it. The Little Mermaid. Oh my goodness. I honestly really liked it. I think that her name's Haley. really did an incredible job playing Ariel. I think that she just hit it right out of the park. You got her innocence and her wonder and her wanting to be. In terms of the villain, see, it's the complete opposite. This is the one movie where I don't really care for the casting of Ursula. I think that should have been by somebody with just a little bit more power in the performance. I would have loved Kathy Bates. If you know, you know her. She's epic. But yeah, not to hate on Melissa McCarthy, is that her name? But yeah, live action films are something else. I will definitely be giving reviews a little bit more formally once we watch it, just because I'm really excited to just to see what Disney does. The live action Lion Kings, you know, this is something that I will say. I If you're gonna just repeat everything line for line for line, why bother? And I know there was some differences. However, the majority of that movie was pretty much line for line. So I really hope that Lilo and Stitch makes sticks to the story, but changes it up. You don't have to take the script and just give it to the actors and say action. You can change things, you can enhance things and modernize things to today. Because what era did Stitch land in Hawaii? I mean, it could have been in modern day, right? We don't know. Oh gosh, I would love for them to make actually a live action Figment movie or oh, Buzzy, Buzzy. By the way, everyone keeps messaging me. That is not the real Buzzy on my wall. I do not have him. I have a lot of speculations and thoughts on where he is. I mean, didn't Disney announce that they actually have him back? It's interesting to me that this lore has gone on for so long. It's almost like Mamas and the Papas, like Cass Elliot when they what is her name? Yeah, when the singer Cass Elliot, when she passed away, they thought that it was because she choked on a ham sandwich. No, that's not the case. Oh, Stitch trailer looks amazing. It really does. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing a live. I don't do lives very often, but I am enjoying this. So thank you for watching. Please hit your thumbs up. I am new to this whole YouTube world. I am just just a guy with a passion that likes to share my experience. The actor as David was the voice actor of David in the original movie. Really? Really? Wow, that's incredible. I thought he sounded really similar. Okay. I like when they do stuff like that. I think that is incredible. Like, for instance, um, what's his name? The Rock. How he's actually reprising his character in the live action Moana. That's cool. I mean, he physically looks the part. Why not, right? Why not? I think that that's great. That doesn't happen that often. I know that they make cameos here and there. Like Jodie was made a little cameo in the Little Mermaid. I love your Instagram post. This is great. Where that you're doing a live stream. Thank you so much, Kelly. Your paintings are amazing. I absolutely love your artwork as well. You've always been, me and you have always supported each other. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You've always been amazing. Um, but yeah, it's going to be epic. What other feature? What do you think of the ice cream guy? Oh my gosh. The ice cream guy. To be honest with you, he was always one of my most favorite mute characters in Disney history. He is obviously just an extra, right? But wow, it's so funny that he never got his ice cream. Of the trailer. Yep. I mean, I'm. You know what? To be honest with you, I must have missed him in the trailer because I don't remember seeing him in the trailer. I'll go back and rewatch it. I watched it once, and then it's been obviously blowing up Instagram. But I'll have to check it out after this to keep an eye out just for him. I was just excited to see Preakley. That's who I was excited about. I actually really enjoyed Lilo and Stitch the series on. It was on Disney Channel in like 2005, 2006. Oh gosh, it was traditional 2D drawn. It's in my watch list on Disney Plus. I love it. I think that 626 experiments is a lot. So kudos to that team that really challenged themselves to think of powers and to design them in a 30-minute episode with breaks. I mean, how incredible was that, right? Oh gosh, Lilo and Stitch has always been popular. I would say that he is right up there with Winnie the Pooh and Ariel and Belle and Frozen. It's one of those timeless characters, and it's interesting because I think, okay, what do all of them have in common? Because let's be honest, people love Winnie the Pooh. People adore him. He has a whole land, a whole attraction built after him in parks worldwide. What is it about Winnie? It's his just cuteness and his softness. Um, Stitch isn't really necessarily, I'm gonna say, huggable, but he's cute and he looks like he'll be huggable, even though he has arms hidden somewhere in his fur. So it's just always interesting to see what makes certain characters so popular. And my profile pic is the Stitch that I've He's my most favorite character. Oh, then I bet you're happy right now. I bet you are really, really excited. I would share your excitement when they make a live action Hunchback or a live action Black Cauldron or Tarzan. I will be right there changing my profile picture. I don't know when it'll happen, right? Or Maleficent 3. I know a lot of people hate sequels and prequels. I don't. How does everyone feel about Hocus Pocus 2? I thought it was good. I mean, obviously, it's a lot lighter and happier than the first one, but I mean, 90s Disney versus today obviously is going to be a lot different, right? So I honestly really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Do we need a 3? No. Will we get one? Probably. Because Disney doesn't know what else to do. Toy Story 5, every time I think they end it perfectly, they don't. They just keep going and going. Somehow, they have managed to keep topping it. But a lot of the talent from Pixar has left. So I'm very hesitant to see Toy Story 5. I'll be completely honest with you, but we'll see. We'll see. Other shows that I really enjoy are or is or are because there's multiple. Or is because it's present tense. I was never good on grammar. I will always love the 2D animation the most. Wish they would bring it back. I know. I worked actually at Imagineering with an old director from the animation studios that went over to Imagineering, and I talked to him about that. He helped with the creation of Princess and the Frog, which was the last 2D drawn feature animation at the Walt Disney Animation Studios. And I said, like, how was that? Because they already had kind of separated themselves from that genre and went into digital. And he said it was very difficult even to bring back those pieces and that knowledge. And it wasn't even 10 years at that point. So I can only imagine now how hard it would be. It is of course possible, but a lot of the talent that were there have retired. I know Eric's still there, but I mean Mark Hen just retired, who I got to have lunch with, who designed Simba and Stitch and Belle and oh gosh, did he design Aladdin? No, Jasmine. Like he was just an incredible man. I picked his brain. Um, he just retired too. So unfortunately, I know they mentored people, but I, who knows? Who knows? I am wondering why did animatronics go from figures to electric figures? That's a good question. um, I'll tell you from my understanding, because I worked on both electric and the old A100 figures. Those figures, they rely a lot on air and oil, and they're beautiful and they're a piece of art even without all the layers of skin and hair and all the other complex things that make an animatronic believable. But they break a lot easier. They require a lot more maintenance, where electric is a lot cleaner. However, electrics can still break. There's absolutely no cure for that, unfortunately. When you ask something to run for 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, of course they're going to break. I mean, nothing is built to last forever and go forever. However, I will say that the new figures in Tiana's Bayou Adventure, they've been breaking a lot more frequently than any of the old Splash Mountain figures did that were built in the 70s. So is that to say that they were built better back then? Absolutely. Look at your washers and dryers from the past. Look at your refrigerators. Look at your toasters, blenders. Didn't your folks never really replace them? Didn't they ever? They never really broke, right? They just kind of replaced them. But why? Now everything breaks so easy. Nothing's really made the same. What was the hardest character to? Which was the hardest character to work on? Each character had its challenge. You know, I was kind of low key assigned Fantasyland. I think my lead at the time knew that I could really master that cartoon like, but there's something that really puts a lot of pressure on you when you're painting realism. So whenever I was in Pirates, you really have to make it believable. People judge it a lot differently than if they were in Snow White's Enchanted Wish, for instance. Working on Ursula was really stressful. I'm trying to think what else like really stressed me out. You know, it's gonna be. This is really, it's ironic, but it's true. I was in a Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, and I don't know what scene it's in, but it's just giant orange glove with a pie that sticks out. And I remember when that came into the shop, and I try to avoid it like the plague. But of course, I got assigned that glove, and that took me a really long time because obviously it's full black light and black. Okay, that's the answer. Anything black light, fully, it was challenging for me. That's definitely a truth. But it's not really an animatronic. It's just more like a prop. But it moved, so we touched it. um, but yeah, there was so many animatronics that were really fun to work on that I couldn't wait to touch. You know, I loved It's a Small World. I really enjoyed working in there, painting blush, fixing those dolls, just making sure that they looked amazing, maintaining the legacy of Mary and Alice Davis was very important to me. So I definitely will say that, and you know, enhancements to those existing animatronics and stuff is very important. I'm actually working on a Small World doll right now. I'm priming the head. A little sneak peek. Because Miguel is coming into the attraction, which is really exciting. And Dante, his dog, is going to be in the attraction as well. So that's going to be really exciting to see that addition. And Costuming is working on his little suits and stuff. I think that the I'm ready for FNAF2. What does FNAF mean? It's not Lilo and Stitch. Friday night? I have no idea. What does that mean? Um, but yeah, working on Friday nights at Freddy's. Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, very cool. I'm ready. Is that a Okay, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what is that. Is that a movie? Is that a restaurant? Five Nights at Freddy's. I know Freddy Krueger, the villain. Um, but thank you so much. Hello, nice to see you. If you have any questions for me, hit me up right now. Is the time. I'll answer it live. Um, Still to your point, hardest animatronic to work on. Mm. What I put a It's a horror game and movie. Ah, okay. I don't like horror. It scares me. It freaks me out. One movie that you might want to see. It was made in 1974, 75. It's called The Omega Man. It has Charlton Heston in it. It used to scare me so much as a kid. Check that out if you like horror. You will love that movie. The Omega Man, Charlton Heston, and Anthony Zerbe. It's the what is it? I Am Legend, but the '70s version, and it was ever so. Check it out. I know horror scares me too. I like suspense and thriller, but I mean, have you ever seen Wrong Turn? I used to like those when I was growing up. I used to maintain the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics and now moved on to Disney. Which character do you recommend is the easiest to build? Um, I would probably say a tiki bird will probably be your best bet in terms of rebuilding. Right now I'm building Pierre. Um, I would say it's probably the easiest, to be honest with you. The bird body is a lot more forgivable than the human body. If I was going to make an animatronic, how should I make it? Well, it all depends. If you actually want an animatronic that moves, you have to put in obviously motors and mechanisms and gears, all types of fun stuff that I know nothing about. A lot of people think that I know how to build animatronics literally from the ground up. I do know the basics, but I don't know a whole lot. Their machinists in our shop really do a magnificent job, and they do all of that. By the time it gets to the painter, they're already programmed and good to go. They already have their shells, their latex skins on. That's a whole nother department. Then it comes to us, and then we paint it. Costuming, drop off the costumes, wigs. We do all of that, and then Imagineering's amazing art director of animatronics will come in and she'll sign it off. Let's see, what type of movement should I use on him? So for birds, obviously, a simple up and down movement and maybe a head turn, and of course the beak has to move. Can you do a video on how the A1 series animatronics masks are made? Yep, I am. That's in the lineup. I should be next week or the week before. Your job looks so fun. I love it. Working in this department, I never thought it would have so much interest. I thought I was like a nerd for wanting to paint and trying to be an animatronic artist. I never knew that it had such a following and such an interest. And that's why I made this channel, to share with everybody, because I think that I have such a vast knowledge on how Disney does stuff, and it would be just, I always do for others what I would want done for me. And I may not be the most articulate in how I explain it, but I will get the information out there to you so that you all can see and hear some of these stories, because a lot of people love how things are made behind the scenes and stuff. And I'm sure Disney does not like me doing this. But I mean, it's just my experience and my knowledge that I gained from working there. And I'm sorry, but I don't see anything wrong with it. My favorite has to be I'm Oswald. He's my favorite Disney character. He's pretty cool. Pre-Mickey. They lost him for a long time. But let's see. So, okay, back to your question on how do you make an animatronic. So it has to have a steel armature frame, and then it's up to you whether you want to build it, and how it moves. All of that has to be done first before you get to your shell, which is a whole nother, topic altogether. You have to build some sort of shell or casing around those mechanisms so that nothing gets put into it. Then you got to worry about silicone, and it could be, there's different types of skins on animatronics. I have a video coming out on that next. And then after that, it's different types of paints, finishes, hair, costumes, wigs, makeup, accessories, eyelashes, glass eyes. It is a beast trying to figure out what's going on. Let's see. You have to build it either using cylinders. See, that's what I mean. You know more about this than me. I have no idea. But if you know that, then, by all means, ask me anything else that you do after that, and then I'll be able to help you. It's going to be a spring-looked bunny style. Okay, that's great. That's awesome. I can't wait to see. Tag me on Instagram or send me a picture. I would love to see what you create. It's so fun to see what people create their own tiki birds. I think that's amazing. But yes, after you choose the type of skins that you want, and there's so many different types of skins that Disney uses, then mainly still I cannot crack painting and the cosmetics on the Disney animatronics. Well, Disney uses a specific brand of paint, and I'm going to tell you, we use Mann Brothers theme park paint, MANN paint. That is the acrylic that we use on the animatronics. Using those spring locks. Yep, see, I don't know anything about that. The machinists do all of that. So, I'll run by you why I don't know a whole lot. I go in the machine shop, but I don't really hang out in there. It's very greasy, noisy, and scary, and you have to wear glasses when you're in there. But that's kind of where the figure goes first. That's where, once an animatronic is pulled from the attraction, It is placed in there, and then it is de-skinned, de-costumed, everything is ripped off. So then it goes into the machine shop where they take it all apart, oil, fix whatever looks like it needs fixing, and then what happens is actually really interesting. They rebuild it and then they test the animation for 2 days. It runs, and then there's an Imagineer. In the Anaheim office, his name's Rick Elliott, and he's the art director of Illusion, Life Illusion, and he'll sign it off once he approves on the movement. And then it goes on to the plastiers. So the plastiers are the people responsible for adding back the shells, skins, furs, feathers, all of that. And then it comes to us where we paint, finish, and do all of that. Can you repeat the paint company color type Disney uses? Spring locks are murder things. What is the hardest character to make? Lewis, let me guess. Okay, so the brand of paint that Disney uses is called Mann Brothers Theme Park Paint. MANN Brothers. Theme Park Paint Acrylics is what that's not the only brand, but that is the brand that we use the most common and the most often. What is the hardest character to make? Lewis, let me guess. Lewis is an extremely advanced audio animatronic. He is insane. His movements, and it's so sad. What is that YouTube channel called? TBM videos, something where they film animatronic malfunctions. That is a nightmare for me to watch. I can't watch that. It makes me so sad because I'm like, no, like, why did that happen or how? Every time I see that, I just, I clench my teeth. It's so sad. But yeah, after it comes to us, then we paint it, fur finish, put the costume on, age the costume, and then the Imagineering art director for audio animatronics will come. Her name's Leslie, and then sign it off, and then it goes back into the ride. That whole sentence that it took me 2 minutes, right, to explain, it could take up to a month to actually execute sometimes. That's why they're gone for so long, especially now that the animation department is off property, which is such a shame. It was better when we were there. What is the hardest character? Okay, where does Disney get their animatronic fur from? There's a lot of different companies. The most common used fur that I have seen, it's actually a company in New York that makes it, and they make it custom for Disney. He is a A1000, am I right? Correct. What model of animatronic is it? Yes. He is a fully electric figure. Large and in charge, right? Lewis is huge. He is ginormous in person. I was like, wow. How does everyone feel about the frogs? That's what, or Tiana's Bayou Adventure in general. I mean, it's gotten such hate. You know, I will say this, and I said this in my video, that if it wasn't a replacement and if it was a new thing, people would like it. But it's because Disney took something that was so beloved and put that in, it would have been almost impossible to please. I don't care what it would have been. Does Disney own the IP for the Pirates of the Caribbean animatronics? Not the main ones, but the extras, I guess you can say. So Disney owns all of those figures. They're all copyrighted. They've all been documented by Imagineering back in the 60s. So everything that's there is theirs. I love Lewis. I live in the UK, so I haven't been able to ride Bayou. Aw! You're not missing much, Kelly. I'll be honest with you. It's a cute ride. It's charming. It's fun. It's a good time. Is it better than Splash Mountain? No, but I think that's going to be its problem for probably a decade, is people are just going to compare Splash with Tiana. And you can't really... Did people do that with Alien Encounter and Stitch's Great Escape at Epcot? Did you compare the two? What other things have been replaced that are now different? I mean, I don't know. Name an attraction, right? You walk in there and you're like, yeah, like this is the same. Or, oh, I noticed that he's missing. I feel like Tiana's biggest issue is that they didn't reuse a lot of the animatronics that could have been reused. So I think that's unfortunate, but that is the truth of the avenue that Imagineering decided to go down. And, you know, Disney, I'm sorry, they're trying their best, but it's just a very difficult environment right now, very sensitized. Matterhorn the Yeti. The Yeti is actually one of my all-time favorite animatronics to work on. Everyone always asks me, what helped you get into Disney? What helped you get into your art role? I will say that I built the Matterhorn model in my backyard and I showed them pictures and they really liked that. So you have to do something that sets you apart from other people. You have to really think outside the box. And I know you've heard that a million times, but it's so true. You have to master so many skills and but you have to be proficient and you have to just conquer one that they hire you for that because they know no one could do that like you can, but you also could do so many different things. That is Imagineers. So many of them know how to do so many different things. For instance, I was hired to paint, but I know how to fur, I know how to feather, I know how to sculpt, I know how to mold. And of course I learned all of that working in the shop over time, but I knew a lot of practical skills already before I got hired. So definitely think outside the box. I remember when Tony Baxter got hired, he was he started at the parks too, and he ended up going up to WED and he showed them his little marble machine, and it was something of interest. And they said, it looks good, but come back when you have a little bit more experience. And he ended up just getting hired, which was the right call by Marty. Um, I am sad Aerosmith are going, but the Muppet. Yes, a lot of changes are happening to Disney World. I definitely think that Aerosmith, that's hard, right? Aerosmith by far is it's a great band. It's an iconic band. Could the coaster be just as amazing with a new song? Yes. So that's something that could be enhanced and changed with overlays. So let's see what happens. Muppets are going to be. We'll see how sad people are when the Muppets leave. We'll see. I mean, Muppets are. When's the last time a Muppet movie came out? I can't remember. It's been a long time. So you have to remind the public why this is relevant enough to have a property on the theme park lot when space is so limited. Not to say Disney World, because let's be honest, the new Monsters Land, the new Cars Land, all of that, they really don't have to take away from Rivers or replace Muppets. They're choosing to. So, just saying. I found your channel, big Imagineering fan, graphic artist, breaking out my skillet and doing a model of the Splash Mountain show building. I will share with complete. That sounds amazing. Hello and welcome. Thank you. That sounds amazing. A great movie ride. Mickey's Runaway Railway. Yeah, great movie ride was iconic. I know a lot of people. I went there that last day it operated, and I was pretty sad to see that go. For me, I really loved seeing the Wizard of Oz segment. Disney just needs to buy those rights and make an Oz land. That would be epic, right? How does everyone feel about Epic Universe, by the way? A lot of Imagineers that Disney fired went there, and you can tell because look how epic and awesome, literally, no pun intended, Epic Universe looks. Let's see. It will be sad when dinosaurs leave and Indiana Jones come in. I will miss the dinosaurs, even though they scared the hell out of me, and I hate to say that word on here, but it's true. They really did scare me. My mentor, Doug, worked at Imagineering at that time. He was hired for that project. And what was that, 1999? And he would tell me all the stories about working on that. And the safari, there used to be like a dead elephant that he worked on and they ended up scrapping. So yeah. Indiana Jones, obviously the fifth will probably be the last. But I don't know. I really did enjoy the dinosaur ride. So I don't know why it couldn't stay. It's the same track layout though. What is the skin color they used for the Haunted Mansion animatronics? So, you're asking a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. I could tell you're taking notes. So, it's called Ghost Green, and the actual pigment I'd have to look up on the color callouts. I actually have some of the documentation in the next room, but it's called Ghost Green, and it's painted over the clear plastic armature. I'm ready for the Dark Universe section. I know. I'm really excited for the Monsters ride and the windmill that's on fire. How epic is that? I don't know if it'll be on fire the whole time. It probably will just come on every like 10 minutes or something. That way it's more of a wow. It might just spark or something. Is it true pirates used real live bones? That is true. That is absolutely true. When I first started at Pirates of the Caribbean, well, I never worked there, but when I started painting there, my who told me? Was it my lead or was it my manager? They said, hey, if you're gonna paint any of these bones, make sure you don't paint these because they're actually real. And the corner is still taking them out slowly and then putting in new ones. The most recent takeout of real bones was actually in the when you first go down into like the caves and you see the skeleton that was laying on the ground next to the crab. He was real and he was replaced. And then I don't know if the skeleton with the seagull on its head was real too. He was real at one point, but I think he was replaced a little bit before. But both of those got replaced, and you could tell they don't look as real. But there are some still real bones still in the jail scene, in the towards the end with the right next to the dog with the key. The first arch. Um, Take a look down there. That they're real skeletons. We could not paint those. um, a lot of people think the head on the headboard or the skull on the headboard is real. It's not. We were able to paint that. So that is definitely a resin cast. Being in those rooms was always really cool. I didn't go there much, but every time we got there really early, we'd want to just wander around, which we did all the time. We you know we had to take advantage at some point to have fun and to obviously look to see if anything needs to be touched up or moved or whatever. There was a whole nother area that worried about cobwebs, which is a whole nother video all in itself of how Disney made um, cobwebs. But that is the color that they use. It's called Ghost Green, and it's a custom house-made color, but you can definitely replicate it. What recommendations do you have for blacklight paint for models? I'm guessing you used acrylic. So we used oh my goodness, what was that brand? It has the name Fire in it. Um, I have to look it up and get back to you. But we used it's not Man Bro, it's a specific brand of blacklight paint that we used. And it wasn't acrylic, no, it was a different brand. We only used acrylic on dark rides, if we needed to dilute something. And if, of course, if we were spraying on like latex skin, we would add little drops of a special ingredient to make the acrylic stretchable so it didn't crack. A little fun fact for you. I'm just trying to look around to see if I can think of anything else of mansion to answer that question. Blacklight though. So when we paint in black lights, we actually have a blacklight room in the shop. It's obviously dark and it has those lights everywhere, so we can paint it. But it's always so interesting to me. You'll paint it in there with blacklight, and you go into the attraction, and it looks different. I don't know if they have an older LED set of blacklight lights, but it always just looked different to me, and it drove me crazy. I'm like, why doesn't that look the same as it did when I painted it in the shop? It would literally baffle me. But yeah, that's a good question. Definitely a lot of animatronic fans here. Boy, oh boy, I'm so happy to answer these questions. I wish that I had a lot of very good mentors when I was just starting out. A lot of good people to help me, and it's my honor to help you all. And I hope that all of you honestly try being Imagineers one day. Why not? How do you feel about AI? It's me, makes me feel sad, less needed now. It's frustrating. So, I guess AI is something that they weren't guessing would be around so soon. So it's very interesting to me to see it obviously implemented in so many different ways already. It's everywhere. I mean, there's even celebrities that are having to go on live television and say, that was not me talking. That was not me endorsing this on live or on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I'm not the biggest fan of it, I think I'm a lot like you, where I have an old heart, and I just love the ways of the old masters and traditional stuff. I think that digital is fantastic. I think Frozen would not have looked and been as iconic as it is if it was drawn in traditional hand-drawn animation. However, not every movie has to be digital. Like, for instance, Wish, there's no reason why that could not have been hand-drawn if they wanted. Do they airbrush the paint on the characters or manually airbrush it on? Oh, I brush everything by hand. everything by hand. We character heads, even some of the show and the sign shop signages I used to airbrush. Some ride vehicles I used to airbrush. Even in the when I worked on the carousel, I airbrushed a little bit there too. Airbrushing is a skill you will need at Disney. Just throwing you out there. We used an airbrush called the Pache. I have it here somewhere. I got to keep my airbrush. I don't know where it is. I think it's in my storage. But yeah, good airbrush, double shot. It's really fun. I haven't airbrushed in a long time. I need to bring it out. I don't know. I don't really work with a lot of things that need airbrushing, but when I do and I need it, I like it. Obviously, have to have a pump. I remember when we started airbrushing in the attractions. They bought us these. I thought they were cute. They look like little lunch pails, and they were tiny little portable airbrushes. And we used to plug them in behind Small World. And it's really hard when you're in Small World because behind every giant wall there's this huge black thick velvet curtain that's supposed to block the sound from one room to another, and you have to like lift them up and look for a plug so you can plug in your air compressor so you can spray on blush on the cheeks of the doll. Stories like that, I'm telling you. And if you can't find a plug, what do? It's hard. Thank you for answering these questions. Was Matterhorn built before they used regard regardless? It's so weird to see wooden frame from the retro pictures. So the Matterhorn was built out of wood. It has a steel frame. I will no, that's not the top's out of wood. The bottom's steel. It has like a steel frame overall that it was built. Like we're talking the bone structure. Like they built a box and smaller boxes on top and like a little box at the top. That was out of steel, but everything else was out of wood. And then I don't know if you know how rock work's made, but it's steel and then it's wood, and then they put on like a chicken wire mesh, and then they put a layer of it's like this really thin material over the mesh, and then they pipe on with a really thick clay-like cement, and then they sculpt it and to the consistency, and then they carve it to however they want the rock to look. It is an art form. The Imagineer that's most famous for it, his name's Zolt, that's still at Disney. Will you ever do a tutorial on flexible animatronic masks? If you want, sure. Rebar, yes, rebar, yes. So that was the base. That was a thing that they used. I think they've been doing that for a very long time. But yes, even in 1959, they definitely did that. The Matterhorn sinking, by the way. It's so funny how things work out and how you run into your past and your future, because I remember when I was my first trip to Disneyland, I remember waiting in the Matterhorn queue, and this was before they had all the zigzags in the front where you had to walk around the mountain. Do you remember that? And wait around the mountain, so you got to look at it while you were in line. I think that's better. There's just something about that's just so cool, about circling an attraction for a queue. But when I was in that queue, I actually ran into an Imagineer, and he was telling me that it's sinking, that they're gonna have to dismantle it and rebuild it someday. And when I first started at figure finishing, we went into the sign shop for some reason. I forgot. And this is back when it was backstage, which was a whole amazing little just city of woodworkers and carpenters and painters and sculptors. I'm going to make a video on that because it was epic, and I remember seeing the model for the Matterhorn, so they are already planning it. But yeah, gosh, I've been on here for 1 hour. All right, y'all. Well, any other questions before I get off? Because if not, I'm going to go eat dinner. Kind of hungry. Stay tuned. I have a video premiering. I had one premiere today on the 70th anniversary announcements. If you haven't watched that, check it out. And I have one premiering on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I have 4 coming your way. So keep an eye out for those. On my model, I'm using plaster of Paris mixed with latex, but I have cracks. Any advice? You mentioned an adhesive. Okay, so for cracks, you mean for cracks in your clay model, this is what I would use. We use this at Disney. It's called, the brand is Smooth On, and it's called Freeform Air. It's a 2-part putty system, equal parts A and B. You mix it together, use gloves, and then you use water. You could spray it or just dab it, and then you can fill in those cracks, and then it will harden like rock. So we use that whenever something is broken, and we, if it's not worth recasting it in resin or fiberglass, we'll just do that. um, yeah, of course. If latex rips, there's liquid latex that you can inject in, and then you have to kind of like cedar it with a hot like knife to smooth it out. It's a lot more work, but that's just what I've seen them do. They do that a lot with Small World dolls' mouths, and then we would have to come in and color match the skin pigment. Fun fact: we never actually painted the skin on Small World. It was cast in that color. So all we would do is add blush and eyebrows to those dolls. That's it. So whenever we had to color match the skin, and there's a lot of different skin tones in It's a Small World, it always was it always was a challenge. So we were just like, hey, but that was always fun when not that the mouse ripping was fun, but just in general, whenever we got to do that. What casting material do they use for the Small World dolls? So Small World dolls are made, of metal, rebar, skeleton frame, and then it has like a really fun white. I think there's pictures out there of them without clothes on. It's like a little white shell, and it's really fun. They have like little bellies, and they have little butts, little bums, and then their arms are separate, and their arms are generally made out of silicone, and then they're filled with foam around the gears and the metal armatures, so it holds it into place. And then majority of the dolls are holding something, or their arms are moving, so it has to adhere to it. And then of course they have costumes. So yeah, that's kind of what the dolls are made out of. There's silicone rubber. There are some they're trying different types of heads in Small World. They're always testing new silicones to make sure that it can last and be a little bit harder, but they still rip. It just goes to show, no matter what you do, these mouths are going to rip because they're constantly, blinking or doing something, and material can only last so long before it wears out. And every animatronic at Disney has an expiration date on the calendar. Every 6 months it's looked at, and every year it'll come into the shop. To be looked at, refurbed, and stuff like that. Now that doesn't always happen. Some figures are forgotten, unfortunately, from time to time with budgets and stuff like that. So it truly just depends. Yep, it truly just depends on the figures, how important they are. So Disney always pays more attention to what character is more imperative to the story, because if the attraction doesn't have certain animatronics and it affects the story to a certain point, Imagineering will close the attraction until that figure is put back in, because the story is the most important part of every single attraction. Always. All right, any other questions? Going once. I'll give you a minute. Think of something. Gosh, but anyway, back to the beginning of this live. I'm so excited for Lilo and Stitch. I think it's gonna be amazing. I always like that song, Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. I think that's a great song. All right, well, thank you all so much for joining. I have had a really fun time. Maybe I'll do more lives more often. I don't do lives that often, but I have a lot more videos coming out this week, so stay tuned. And always remember, dreamers, not only to follow your dreams, but to chase them. I don't even know how to end this live. How do I end it? Take care, Kelly. There, okay.